Hello everyone, I'm Freaky and welcome to the video. My friends, when it comes to the woke mob, they always say they want representation within media. We're so sick of white, straight, strong, rough, white males always trying to protect the female. You know, something like that. And when it comes to the representation of women, I have this inkling feeling that Gen Z, as it's in their head, that, oh, there has never been a strong female lead in the past within media. Like, I bet all these lefty, wokey, feminist women believe that all the films from the past has ever only been white straight males that always gets the girl in the end, and a woman is always the prize at the end, and there has never been a strong independent woman as the main lead or as a strong presence within media before 2015, because that's when the SJW woke era began. And I bet they've been taught that, oh, there has never ever been a strong independent woman. It's always the white straight male that always comes and rescues her. And you know what? You can tell that these women have been lied to. I bet they believe that video games is all about the main protagonist of the game only being a strong dependent male that fights all the bad guys and shoots them all down, and he gets the girl in the end. And I also bet they think that comic books with superheroes in it are all just males and there isn't a single female superhero. Or I bet they think that all the action-packed movies from the 80s, the 90s were all just males. You know, like James Bond, Demolition Man, The Predator, Mission Impossible, etc, etc, etc. And you know, I'm pretty sure that they've just been told that, oh, there is no strong independent women in media, it's always the male that comes and rescues them. And the left shows women games like Super Mario with Mario and Peach, or they mislead them into thinking that Batgirl and Supergirl and Wonder Woman are the only well-known female superheroes. And the same with action-packed movies, where they show the man kicking ass and getting the girl in the end. And you know what? If all these wokey, liberal, leftist feminists took their time and actually researched on the internet, they would see that everything that they were taught about, oh, there was no strong females in the past within media, I'm sure it would open their eyes and see that they were lied to, because there are literally loads of strong, beautiful, kick-ass, independent, dedicated females within media. There are plenty in video games, comics, movies, series, etc, etc. Either side characters or main characters or female characters that you rarely see, but they did leave an impact. And I had this idea that I would make a mini-series of the greatest female characters in media. But there's going to be a few catches. Number one, there are series that I have heard of and characters that I have heard of, but I've never actually played the games or watched the movies or read the comics. So whenever I come across a female that came from a piece of media, I won't go into full detail as to who or what this female character has done or who they are. You'll just have to check them out for yourselves. And in each and every one of these videos, it's all going to be in a top 10 sort of list. So, with that said, let's go. And to kick this off, let's talk about Buffy Summers from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And Buffy is a great example of a strong, independent woman who can take care of herself. I mean, heck, she faces off against freaking monsters for crying out loud. You know, facing off against vampires and slaying them, werewolves and gods and so on and so on. And if you really think about it, when you look at Buffy and you didn't know anything about Buffy, she kind of looks like that blonde that would get killed in horror movies. But in this case, she's the blonde that kicks ass. And no matter what she's facing off against, either it's everyday school life, facing off against monsters, or dealing with things in her everyday life, Buffy has no fear. But she does go through regret, and even though I did say that she doesn't have any fear, there are things that she is scared of, like losing the people that she loves, regret, depression, and all that stuff that gets people down. But that doesn't stop her. She gets back up and do what she needs to do in order to protect the one she loves, her home, and the world. And she kicks ass. She's an awesome fighter, and she looks good doing it. And I do believe that Buffy is something that girls should be inspired to be. And if you guys want to watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer, then you can do so. It first came on in 1997, and there were 7 seasons. And after the 7th season, Buffy's adventures continued within a comic series. And also, Buffy also had a spin-off show called Angel, and that series is all about a vampire called Angel, who was one of Buffy's loves. And that series had about 5 seasons. And if you're interested in the series, I recommend you get the DVD box sets and get the comics. And if you want to watch them online, just have a quick look on the internet. If a strong, independent, kick-ass female is what you want, then Buffy Summers from Buffy the Vampire Slayer is the female for you. Brave, beautiful, and has no fear going up against monsters, Buffy Summers is one of the greatest female leads on TV. And so that said, let's move on to the next one. And the next one is Sarah Connor from the Terminator franchise. And also, I just want to make one thing perfectly clear, okay? There has ever only been 3 Terminator movies. The first one, the second one, and the third one. Everything else is just woke garbage. The third one was a hit and miss, but I thought it was okay. Even though we don't see Sarah Connor in this movie, she is mentioned in this movie, but I'll get to that in a second. Now, when it comes to Sarah Connor, she was just the average girl that went about her day with a very 80s haircut, and she was a waitress at a local diner or a restaurant. Again, she was going about her daily life until another character called Kyle Reese comes in and kidnaps her, and Kyle keeps on telling her that she is the mother of the man that'll save the world. And obviously, Sarah Connor doesn't believe him, thinking that he's crazy. And then, after she found out about the Terminator, seeing that the Terminator is real, she started to believe Kyle a bit. And Sarah Connor went from being this scared woman that was running away, hiding and scared, to this badass action hero in the Terminator 2. You could say that she was like a girly girl in a way. She went from that to a badass tomboy. So after destroying the Terminator in the first film, Sarah Connor did a 180, and she was doing all this preparations of actually fighting the Terminators and Skynet. And during that time, while she had John, everyone around her thought that she was crazy, talking about machines and the end of the world, and so on and so on. And so they put Sarah Connor in a hospital, and John Connor was rehomed. And throughout the entire movie, you can see how resourceful she is. And instead of being that scared woman that we saw in the first movie, she's a freaking action hero. But saying that, she does have her flaws. Like, she was ready and willing to kill an innocent man in order to stop the creation of Skynet. And she was going to kill him, but she couldn't bring herself to do it. And she regrets of what she was going to do to this innocent man. So yeah, she is a flawed human being, but she does what she needs to do in order to protect John and get him ready to fight against the machines. So there you go. You have a girly girl do a 180 and become an action-packed hero. Now remember, you can watch Terminator 1 and 2, and yes, she's in these movies, but when it came to Terminator 3, before her death, she made sure to have loads of things ready for John, like weapons that she put in her coffin for John to use. So even after death, she was looking out for her son. Talk about being a dedicated mother. So yeah, that's all I've got to say about Sarah Connor. And so let's move on to the next one. And the next one is Ellen Ripley. Now, Ellen Ripley is in Alien 1, 2, 3 and 4, and she is a badass in all of them, especially in number 2. Now when it comes to number 1, she was mostly a survivor, but when it came to its sequel, Aliens, she had more experience against these things. Not only that, but she later finds out that her daughter is no longer alive, and this upsets her, and she comes across this little girl called Newt, and so Ripley becomes a sort of mother figure to her. Anyways, instead of facing off against one alien, she, alongside other people, are fighting against loads of aliens, including a Queen Mother. And she was a badass in this movie. She gets this big massive suit and she's fighting against the Queen Mother and she goes, "Get away from her, you bitch." I mean, come on, that part was just so freaking cool. And so, after defeating the Queen Mother, she, alongside others, goes into a deep sleep. And then, when Aliens 3 came around, everybody on her ship is now dead, including Newt, one of the people that she really cared about. And she finds out that an alien is inside of her. And so, for the greater good, she kills herself, taking the alien with her. And you know what? It really gets you down after watching Aliens 3, because she went through all that just for everybody just to die, and she kills herself in the end. You know what? She went out like a champ and making sure the alien was going with her as well. And when it came to Alien Resurrection, to be honest, I really don't know how to describe Ripley, because to me, she just seems like a different person altogether. But when it comes to the first 3 films, she went from a survivor to a freaking badass. In fact, I think it was Ripley who was the first female badass. I actually think that she might be the one that inspired Sarah Connor. At the very least, I think so. And Ripley has lost a lot of friends and family, and all in the end, she sacrifices herself to stop this alien menace until they clone her to bring back the alien. But hey, what can you do? Now, loads of people say that Alien 2 is a good note to end the Alien franchise. And you know what? I agree. They do have some good ideas in Alien Resurrection, so I say go and watch Alien 1, 2, 3 and 4. Ellen Ripley is a freaking badass. And so, let's move on to the next one. And the next female is, from the game series Metroid, Samus Aran. Sorry if I didn't pronounce that right. Now, I just want to let you guys know, I haven't played the Metroid games. I've only ever seen Samus from Death Battle and a few clips there and there of the game, Super Smash Bros. But I do know a few things there and there about Samus. And number 1 is, she's a bounty hunter. She's had roughly around 15 games under her belt, and she has a kick-ass armor. And, fun fact, from what I've been hearing, when the first Metroid came out, everybody thought that the main character of Metroid was a dude in the armor, but after the credits rolled, it showed us that Samus was actually a woman, shattering the preconceived notion that only men can be action heroes. And like I said, I don't know that much about Samus or what goes on in her games. All I know is that she was in around 15 games, I think, and that she's a bounty hunter. So if you guys want to go and check out more about Samus, go and look upon YouTubers who knows about Samus, or even better, go and play her games, and you'll learn more about Samus. So there you go, you have yourself a badass bounty hunter female. And so let's move on to the next one. And the next one is from one of my favourite anime series of all time, Bolsa Yonsson from Moribito, Guardian of the Spirit. And oh my god, I absolutely love Bolsa. Not only is she strong, determined, wise, but she kicks ass as a bodyguard. She is a great fighter with her spear. And you know what? I don't understand why they didn't continue the anime series to this, because this series is fan-freaking-tastic. Now, when it comes to Bolsa, she has been given the job of protecting a prince named Chagum, because Chagum has a spirit in him, and the king thinks that this spirit is going to destroy the kingdom. And the king tries all sorts of things to try and kill his son by sending his hunters to try and kill him, fights with all might to save and protect Chagum. And Bolsa is also like a mother figure to Chagum, teaching him things, how to live in a village, teaching him how he would survive, and teaching him all sorts of stuff. She's almost like a second mother to Chagum. She's strict when she needs to be, and she's also very caring too. And also, another thing is, she doesn't use her spear to kill people, she wields her spear to protect people. She even goes so far to try not kill people who's coming after her, even Chagum. And she has this backstory where this other bodyguard was protecting her, and these other 7 or 8 hunters was ordered to kill Bolsa, but the bodyguard saved her, and he killed the hunters that was trying to kill Bolsa. So she decided to save 8 lives to atone for the ones that was killed by the bodyguard that was protecting her. And if you ask me, I think Bolsa is possibly one of the most perfect examples of a strong woman. She's wise, capable, she kicks ass. For me, Bolsa is one of the best examples of a great female lead. I absolutely love her. And you know what? I highly recommend you guys go and check out this anime. And yeah, even though the anime stops, the light novels continue Bolsa's journey. And considering how good Guardian of the Spirit was, it makes you want to go and see where Bolsa is heading next. Heck, I wanted to know where her next adventure was going. And you know what? It was an absolute shame they didn't continue the anime for a second or third season. It's roughly around 26 episodes, and I think you can find it on either the internet, or you can try and find it on DVD if you wanted to. So yeah, Bolsa is awesome. And with that said, let's move on to the next one. Okay, and the next one is Mrs. Brisby from The Secret of NIMH. Now, when it comes to Mrs. Brisby, she isn't an action hero, she doesn't carry any weapons, and she doesn't have any experience of fighting. And yes, she's a cartoon mouse, and some people might say, oh, we can't relate to her because she's not human, she's a mouse. But you shouldn't sell Mrs. Brisby short, because there is one thing that she does as a woman or female that the other females hasn't done of what she has done, and that is her determination to save her son and her family. Now, when it came to Sarah Connor, yes, she was determined to protect her son, but when it came to Mrs. Brisby, she is a meek, weak, scared little mouse. But despite that, she does what needs to be done, and she'll go to hell and back in order to protect her family. And again, she wouldn't do it in that action hero sort of way, but more of a scared way. Like, she doesn't know what's ahead of her, but she knows it's dangerous. When she's going to the Great Owl, she was scared of the Great Owl because owls eat mice, but despite that, she went to him anyways to ask him for help. And it's the same with the rats. And it was the same when she volunteered to go and drug Dragon the cat. Yeah, she actually volunteered for this. And the reason why she volunteered was so she could be helpful to the rats, since they were helping her move her house. And the thing is, again, she's scared, she's meek, but despite that, to me, that's what makes her a very likable character. All she wants to do is save her son, her family and home, and she doesn't know what to do, so she does something very dangerous, even though she's scared. And even though she's scared, she keeps on pushing on to make sure her family is safe. And you know what? That's very inspiring. Mrs. Brisby is definitely a female that not only little girls, but anybody can look up to and be inspired. Like, would you do something dangerous, even if you're scared out of your mind? She's not looking for adventure, she's not looking for fights, she's just a mother that just wants to live a normal life with her kids. She's meek and scared, but she is brave. And she's from the movie The Secret of NIMH, 1982. I highly recommend it, it's a really good movie. But I recommend you miss the second movie. The first Secret of NIMH movie is a freaking masterpiece, and I highly recommend it. And so that said, let's move on to the next one. Now, I'm going for a second one when it comes to overprotective mothers, and that is Hannah from Wolf Children. Now, Hannah kind of reminds me of Mrs. Brisby. When it came to Mrs. Brisby, she was a weak, meek little mouse and had to face dangers, but she went through those dangers anyways to protect her family. But when it comes to Hannah, Hannah is hardworking and selfless, and she loves her family. I mean, she's a very, very likable character, but what makes her strong and a role model to look up to is when her partner gets killed and it's up to her to raise her kids. But the thing is, her kids aren't normal kids. Her kids can actually turn into wolves. on a whim. Yeah, they get their genes from their father, because he could turn into a wolf as well. And even though she's heartbroken that her husband died, she knows she has no time to grieve, because she knows she has to look after her kids. Now, being a single mom is a hard task all by itself. And again, she lost the love of her life. But the hardest part is that she has to keep her kids safe and make sure that nobody knows that they can turn into wolves. Because hey, if it was made public that her kids could turn into wolves, loads of things could happen. Her kids could be taken away from her, her kids and her could face prejudice, and so on and so on. You know, all those negative things that society does when they face anything that's different from them. You know, think of X-Men when society finds out about mutants. So yeah, that's the biggest thing that she does. She tries to keep her kids' identities of turning into wolves a secret. And I'm telling you guys, she works really hard, and she is always scared that her kids will be found out to be wolves. There was this one part in the movie where one or two of her kids were sick, and they was in their wolf forms, and she didn't know to go to a clinic or a vet. I mean, come on, you have to admit that's confusing. Like, where would you go? To a vet or a clinic? And there was that time when her kid started owling, and she got in trouble for it, where the landlord says there is no dogs allowed in this apartment. And so Anna decided to move out in the countryside just so they can have their own space. And Hannah was just so desperate to learn to grow food because she ran out of money. Hannah is a very dedicated, hard-working, loving mother that'll do anything to protect her kids. She is definitely up there in the top 5 mothers in fiction. Anna is definitely strong and dedicated, and is somebody that little girls should look up to, because like Mrs. Brisby, Anna is one of the perfect examples of what a mother should be, and she's from the movie Wolf Children. Again, another great movie. And so, let's move on to the next one. And the next one is from Disney, Mulan from, well, Mulan. Now, when it comes to Mulan, she is one of the few Disney princesses that is a warrior, but she wasn't a warrior to begin with. At the beginning of the film of Mulan, she wanted to take the place of her father, who has been told that he has to go into the army to fight against the Huns. But Mulan, to save her father, she took his place and she dressed up as a man, and she tries awkwardly to try and be a man. And when it came to the time of training, she failed the training the first time, but when it came to the second time around, she completed her training. She went from a zero to hero. She worked herself up from being completely useless to being a capable fighter. And not only that, she single-handedly took down the Huns. She single-handedly killed hundreds, perhaps even thousands of Huns, and she took down the big bad, and thus saving China. And you know what? It's relatable when it comes to Mulan. She wasn't born strong and powerful, and she wasn't no Mary Sue. She used her wits to fight, and she had to start from the bottom and work her way up to becoming a good fighter. And also, she didn't need no man to protect her against the bad guys, but instead it was the opposite. It was Mulan who protected the men and saved China. Now, Mulan as a sequel, Mulan 2, but I highly recommend you guys don't watch that movie, but instead only watch Mulan 1. And also, make sure you don't watch the live action version of Mulan. The live action one is very inferior compared to animated version of Mulan. I mean, you could say that Mulan is the first princess to actually kick ass with a body count. So yeah, I highly recommend the movie Mulan and Mulan Kicks Ass. And so that's it, let's move on to the next one. And the next one is from Tomb Raider, Lara Croft. Now, just to let you guys know, I've only ever played the first Tomb Raider on the PS1, and I've only ever gone up to the part where the dinosaurs come in. And besides that, I haven't played any other Tomb Raider game. Now, that's not to say that I wouldn't play the Tomb Raider games, but I think around that age, I was more into fun, silly games like Hogs of War. But I do know a little bit about Lara Croft. Now, what makes Lara Croft different from all the other female characters that was on this list? Well, number 1, she is the most iconic female characters in gaming. Number 2, she's beautiful. Number 3, she can take care of herself and she can kick ass. And number 4, what separates her from the other female characters on this list is that she is an adventurer. She is the female Indiana Jones of gaming. And Lara Croft has faced off against loads of things. Assassins, dinosaurs, ancient Aztec, monsters and gods and all that stuff. She's a woman that has a sense of adventure, and she goes looking for all these lost civilizations and items and all that stuff. And she's really smart. Again, I don't know that much about her, but I know enough. She's had her own game series, she's had movies, her own comic book series. I mean, heck, she even has her own star at the Walk of Game, and she's also had a cultural impact. So really, if you're one of those adventurer types and you want to see all the wonders of the world, well, Lara Croft is somebody that you would really love to look up to if you're one of those people that has that sense of adventure. And she's no damsel in distress either. Again, she can take care of herself and she can kick ass, either against monsters or humans or Babylonian gods or whatever. I think she has roughly around 8 games and she has 3 movies. Lara Croft has lost loved ones, lovers, friends, but despite that, she keeps on going, and she even helps a civilization at the end of one of her games. So again, If you're one of those adventurer types and looking for a strong woman, then look no further than Lara Croft. Intelligent, beautiful, she can kick ass, and she isn't afraid. And so that said, let's move on to the final one. And for the final one, I thought to myself, instead of one character, why not make it 3? Everybody give it up to the early 2000s Powerpuff Girls. Now, these 3 girls, to me, are the definition of girl power. And best of all, there's 3 of them. They are a team. And they're sisters. Now, I just want to make one thing perfectly clear, okay? If you want to watch this series, make sure you watch the 2000s version, not the 2016 version, because the 2016 version is crap. Anyways, the Powerpuff Girls was all about girl power. They would come in, save the day, and beat up the bad guys, like Mojo Jojo or Fuzzy Lumpkins or him. And I'm going to tell you guys something. The 2000s Powerpuff Girls was a violent show. Blood spewing out everywhere, body horror. The Powerpuff Girls had so many great episodes, including a decent movie. And the 3 main characters are Blossom, which is the leader, and she's the smart one out of the group. You have Buttercup, which is the girl that's into action, adventure, and she loves fighting. You could say that she's the bad girl of the group, but not like as in bad, more like tomboy-ish in a way. And then you have Bubbles, which is the girly girl. She likes cute things, she likes animals, and she's the nice one of the group. In fact, you could say that the Powerpuff Girls embody of what girls should be like. Smart, tough, and likes cute things. And even though they have their arguments sometimes, but in the end, they do love each other, and it does all work out. The Powerpuff Girls are funny, action-packed. Heck, I can't even recollect any bad episodes in this series. Sometimes they would tackle issues, sometimes it would be action-packed. The Powerpuff Girls are fan-freaking-tastic, and I highly recommend them. They had 6 seasons and 78 episodes in total, and a movie. And they also had an anime adaptation too. So remember, it's the Powerpuff Girls 1998, not the 2016 one. And so yeah, there you go. These are my top 10 female characters before 2015. The left and wokies and SJWs keeps going on and on and on that there aren't any strong females. There aren't any females to look up to. There's no action-packed females in movies and games and so on. Well, guess what? I proved them wrong by showing the females in this video. And these are only just a few of a lot of females that are awesome, kick-ass, kind, strong-willed, and determined. The thing is, I have absolutely no idea what they've been told, but I'm sure these feminist professors have been telling young women that there isn't any strong female leads in media, and that's why they've been trying to push these awful female characters like Miss Marvel into movies and games and so on. And like I said, this was only a handful of females that was in media. There is a lot more females that are strong, dependent, someone to look up to, and so on and so on. And I'm going to make this a series. I'll make maybe 3 or 4 more videos with strong females that you can look up to that isn't from the woke era. And yes, some people will say, oh, where's this female character? Or, oh, where's this other female character? Or, oh, where are these other females as well? And listen, don't worry, I will get to those characters at some other time. But until then, look forward to part 2 of my list of strong, kick-ass females. So, what do you guys think? Am I right? Am I wrong? Do you like my list? Is there a female character that you want to see in future lists? Do you agree with my list? Please let me know in the comments below, and let's get a discussion going. I'm Freaky. Peace out. And please don't forget to check out my other social medias. Please go and check out my alternative video platforms: Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Twitch, and please come and hang out on my Discord server. We can play games, have a movie night or a series night, or you can watch me play a few games. And if you guys have any suggestions of any videos you want me to react to, or any video ideas in general, you can tell me on my Discord. I'm also on Twitter, Gab, Getter, and Paula. I'm on Locals, Tumblr, Minds, and if you guys want to support me, please go and check out my Subscribestar. It's like Patreon, but better. All these things are in the description box below, so please go and check them out and subscribe to them. I'm Geek Freak. Peace out.